Eldridge Show, giving you the real-time information you need to make educated decisions about buying and selling in the world-renowned Twin Cities. Now your hosts and real estate experts, Jason Stockwell and Don Eldridge.
Good morning, Minneapolis, St. Paul. This is the Stockwell Eldridge Show every Sunday, 10 a.m. here on AM 1280 The Patriot. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
And I'm Don Eldridge with RE/MAX Results. Thanks for tuning in. We have the fabulous Sparkles with us today,
Good
too.
morning. Stephanie Havel with Wells Fargo Home Mortgage. Always glad to be here.
And we've got a great show for you today, folks. Going over a lot of examples and things that are happening in the market right now, and also real life stories of things that you should know or might want to know or could help you when you're buying or selling a property, because there's a lot of things that happen, and some of them happen right at the closing table when you're sitting there expecting to have your house sell or buy your house, and someone comes in, title rep or lender or someone comes in and says, oh, what about this? Did you guys know about this? We've had some major hurdles to overcome in the last couple of weeks with some closings at the closing table and prior to that, leading up to the closing. And there's ways to help get through them, and sometimes it's tough. Sometimes you get angry, sometimes you get frustrated, sometimes you're sad, people are crying, it's emotional, you're dealing with money, a large asset, that tends to lead to emotions riding high as well. So there's some things to watch out for. And also, I was reading an article recently about Redfin going public, worth $1.7 billion.
What is Redfin?
Real estate brokerage that is using a different model, so they're paying their agents a salary instead of commission.
Okay.
I think they get bonused, I believe, as well. And some of this stuff ties right into that, because what it comes down to is you have usually newer agents. They're getting a salary, so they may be lacking the experience, number one, and then also they may not have the solution in their bag or the wherewithal or the fight to get that thing done, because there's not as much incentive or on their side. And I know there's people that are working for Redfin, and that's a different model. But there's also tons and tons of sellers and buyers out there, so you got to pick the right company and agent for you. So there's a lot of options, and that's a good thing to have.
Well, and I think you can make the disclaimer. I mean, obviously we all want experience, right? But, one thing I preach, because I do have some newer people on my team who are really good, but they're also a part of a team.
Yes,
so I think, that's important too, is if you have somebody that's a newer agent, you want to give your brother or sister and they're just getting into it, well, that's great. But, you also, need to do your research on who's the company that they're working for, and what team are they on, and who do they have to help back them up and go to for resources. Cause,
a manager or another team member or another agent or something like that.
Yep, it's critical. Like that's clearly what my role is at Wells Fargo. Is I manage my loan officers. So if there's concerns or questions, they bring those all to me. That's my full-time job, is to make sure that my team members and our customers are being taken care of. If there's something that they don't know or it's a difficult situation, right away I get involved and take care of it. So that's something I think important to know with the company, so even if it's an agent, but yeah, you're right. What is the company? Who's the manager? Is it local or is it out of California?
Well, I was at so I read the article.
Hugely important.
Yeah, I read the article, and the CEO of Redfin says the biggest competitors aren't Zillow. Zillow's at $8 billion. I think it's an $8 billion market cap or something like that. But it's Century 21, RE/MAX, Coldwell Banker, Edina Realty. Those are the biggest competitors for Redfin. They weren't saying Zillow was their competitor yet.
Mm-hmm. No, Redfin isn't in Minnesota formally yet. That's what I understand.
Yeah, they are. I see Redfin.
Yeah, I think there's some.
I see Redfin. And the other thing that I was actually having appetizer last night with an agent on the team, Matt, and the people right next to us were talking about it, and I think they were something to do with Artful Living magazine. Oh. And they were talking about Burnett and Sotheby's, and also how they think in 5 years it's going to be completely changed, that they think the real estate agent will be lessened dramatically, and it will be the whole thing of online, where I can go online, I can click, I'm a buyer, Dawn, you're a seller. I can click to submit an offer to you right online. And
so I need to figure out retirement within 5 years.
Well, I think,
they've been saying that, but every like 5 years,
long,
every 5 or 10 years, they
Yes.
come up with something. They say, "Oh, it's going to wipe out the lender, or
Yep.
the mortgage loan officer, or the realtor, or some integral part of the transaction." It
And it
doesn't mean
hasn't
it's going
happened
to.
yet.
It's not going to. It doesn't mean we're not saying it's going to evolve and go into something else. But I don't know if it's going to completely wipe it out, where you're going to go online like you go onto Amazon. I said Amazon is the biggest fear, because Amazon has the infrastructure and the money, obviously, to develop a real estate outfit. But we keep saying it's different, and it is different because the emotions that are involved. It's a large amount of money. It's something that you're tied to. Not to say buying a car isn't emotional. People buy cars online, and
Right.
they buy anything else online. And I guess one could argue what makes houses different than any of the other
Well,
things.
and I think it's
right?
just, I wish I was just looking, I didn't bring the article with me. I just read it about how technology is just changing everything. Like even like on like Facebook. Facebook has better facial recognition than the actual human eye. And they were saying that with cars, same thing. Cars are going to get to be electronically driven. Like insurance companies may see a huge decrease because there'll be less accidents because, with the automation of cars and all the bells and whistles and things like that.
the
So what are
Jetsons,
insurance
we're finally
agents?
getting there. I mean, right?
So I think it's not that, you won't need real estate, but it's what we talk a lot about at Wells Fargo. I mean, we just had a meeting on this, and it's the consumer that's raising the bar against us. It's the consumers demanding it, and Amazon and Apple are up in their game. So guess what? So does Wells Fargo and everybody else. I mean, Amazon, I ordered paper towels. I get an email, your paper towels have been ordered, and they're tracking and they're coming. And so now everybody, wants to know what's going on. So even though you have a realtor that can facilitate the transaction, you're still going to have to be able to know how to, communicate and keep that facilitating in modern day.
Maybe I'm
Yes.
too old. Maybe I'm so old school. I'm kind of old school, but in the transactions that go on, some of them, yes, they go and there's smooth and there's few issues, but there's always a couple issues. So just an example, here's what happened in the last 10 days, folks. At a closing table, there's a thing called FIPTA, or what's the foreign income tax something?
Oh, FITPA.
FITPA.
Yeah.
Okay.
FITPA. We're at the closing table, and it's a 15% hit off the sale price of the home, has to go straight to the IRS. My clients, sellers, didn't know that at the time when they got into the
sellers
closing.
didn't know that they were going to have to pay
Were they
this
They
tax.
had no idea.
So they were a foreign investment?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
I mean, they didn't have a green card, and they weren't citizens, but they've been here for 10 years. So that was a major hit. It was over $30,000 that they were expecting to get.
And so how did that, I suppose...
It has to go right to the
through
IRS.
Social Security number got tracked to the IRS? I mean, how did it...
The title lady came out, the title rep came out for the buyers and said, "Hey, we have an issue." And the closing that was supposed to go 45 minutes to an hour ended up being about 3 hours because of this. Because then the buyers are like, and it's not the title company that's doing it, and it's not anybody else. The buyer themselves are the one who has to actually put that in, because the way the law is written is that if the buyers don't make the seller put that money directly to the IRS, the law says that the buyers could be on the hook for it if there ever is an audit or anything that comes back to them.
Wow.
It's very,
I
very
did not
Well, I
know
think,
that.
That's
so
one example.
huge.
So,
Another
okay,
example
so
is
hold
a
on at that
yeah.
example, though, goes what we talk about experience. So really, honestly, in my mind, the title company should have caught that. That's why a seller needs title insurance, right? Because when they do a sale, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but they should be doing a check on that property and those sellers as well.
Yes.
Correct? I mean,
Yeah.
checking their social security numbers, identity, and everything like that.
Well, on the purchase agreement, it asks specifically if the seller and the listing agreements and the buyer rep, are you part of FITPA? And
so that's an actual question on
yes,
the purchase
it
contract.
sure is.
Yep.
Yes.
On your listing as buyer's rep and on the PA, right?
Yep, and the listing.
And it's
So in
probably
this
one of those.
case,
How often
two
does
of
the
the-
realtor just, check?
well, I
Well-
always ask, even if I know they're not, I just say, are you part of, because you never know.
And
Yeah.
Maybe
does
they
the
are.
average do they know they would have known that?
Yes.
Our paperwork had it that it said they are not or no, they are a foreign. Ours said the correct.
Okay.
But the buyer side that got turned into their title company did not. It had the other box checked.
Oh, on the purchase agreement, where it has.
Well, how
that
could there
box
be
on
two
that
different
last
boxes?
page?
I don't understand.
Because we have so for our listing paperwork and all that stuff, but then the PA had the wrong box checked.
Said not a foreign, not a FITPA.
And so at least it all worked out because they understood. We explained everything. They can actually go now to a tax consultant. And the realistic thing is, this is a motivating factor. I said, hey, guys, get an LLC, get it set up, get a green card. It's going to save you $30,000 on this one. You're getting that. But the point of that is taxes. If I did that as an investor, I'm going to get taxed. It was a flip. I'm going to get taxed short-term capital gains, right?
Correct.
Which is what, 20, 25? I don't even know what it is right now. It's 20 to 25% probably. So it's about this. The whole goal is the government doesn't want money leaving the country without going in. And a funny thing was they thought that this was a Trump thing, and it isn't. This was in place. This was been in
Isn't
place.
That so? Everybody always wants to blame everybody else. Like that's why. Oh, it's the bank's fault. It's the title company's fault. It's like it's Trump's
That's
fault.
one example. Then the other. Well, we can all blame Trump because we used to all blame Obama for everything wrong anyway.
Yeah,
so now we can blame Trump for everything.
Yeah.
But the other thing that happened is we had a low appraisal 2 days ago on a $157,000 condo. It comes in $151.
We're starting to see that a little bit more now.
And the buyer isn't cash heavy. You know what I mean? It was FHA and all that stuff. So able to work that out. It was a give and take, and it took a while. Emotions were high, and there's definitely some emotions going on. But those types of scenarios that you put yourself in, and that's the stuff if you're not in it all the time, like that's something that we were still working on at 7, 8, 9 p.m.
That technology cannot replace.
No.
So again, I think will it replace the real estate agent, the mortgage loan officer? It can't completely replace us. It's just, I think
it's an emotional deal. It's so tough
right.
to go through. And I think I'll run through a scenario when we get back. We'll run through a scenario of the online transaction and see how it would go, because there'd be some hurdles, and how do you get through those when you don't have a middle mediator, which is usually your agent
or your loan officer. So
stay tuned, folks. We'll be back with more.